Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour Podcast.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 260. Thank you for joining us tonight. Speaking of thanks, have to give a big shout out and thank you to Joe from Video Games Monthly for hopping on last week. So the giveaway, well, by the time you're listening to us, it'll probably be just finishing up. So, if we haven't finished it up yet, you still have a chance. Check out episode 259. Leave a comment on any topic that we talked about. Just that simple, you'll be entered.
Now, Joe, truly appreciate him coming on. It was great talking to him. I know he had a short window with us, so can't wait to have him on again in the future. Can't wait to see him at Too Many Games, and if any of you happen to be coming there, make sure you stop by, say hi to us, and maybe we won't be feeding Joe little bottles, or he was feeding us the bottles.
Yeah, last time he was the enabler. Now it's our turn.
Chambers. So we're recording this on Monday, right after Mother's Day, as we were just talking, recovering from doing things for the wives, mothers, and all that. But how you been, Jim? How was your weekend?
Weekend, just as busy as all the others with barely any time to rest, and all the me time for myself involved me sacrificing sleep. So no different than any other day at this point. Life. How about you, Brian?
Jim, that's why you drink alcohol, to make it all okay.
Everything's better after the first sip.
It really is, isn't it? When the first coldness hits you, and you can forget about your problems. And then when you get to the bottom of the warmness, then your heart breaks again.
But then you go and you get more and more and more.
God damn it. So, Chambers, speaking of more and drinking, I actually was dipping. I almost screwed up the no IPA May. But I grabbed my Three Floyds Zombie Ice, and it's a undead double pale ale.
Ooh.
So it's not an IPA.
You saw double and you went, uh-oh.
I was like, fuck. Because I was drinking, I was like, man, it's like really dark. I was like, kind of tastes like a little bit like an IPA. It toes the line, but it's not an IPA. So, delicious beer. I actually already finished it. It went down far, far too smooth, but I have two backups here. And we previously did a little video on these beers. And the good old...
Got the gay?
Ultra right. See, I figured after doing this double pale ale, which, by the way, is 8.5%, I was like, probably going with, what was the gay beer? What was that, 6%?
No, it was only like 5.5 or something. Maybe
was it only 5?
Maybe a flat 6 at tops.
I just remember that sitting a lot heavier. So I was like, I need to go with something light. I don't really have like any light beers in my fridge except for all the Ultra Right. So I was like, you know what? Let's try it. One thing I recognized from that video, we didn't pour them out in the proper glasses. So it's really tough to tell. The camera actually makes it look darker than it is. It almost looks like apple juice. It's so kind of golden. Like I said, I know you're probably seeing it look like a dark pea color right now. But yeah, it's surprisingly light and obviously a ton of head. So, a little different than when we poured it into the solo cups.
Funny how that works, isn't it, Brian? When you drink things the right way.
What about you? What you drinking tonight, Chambers?
Just plowing through some more of these rush beers before they get too old. So, now
how many more you got left?
I think I have at least a 6-pack, maybe like 8 left. So, now the mystique of it not being available in America is gone. I'm just like, I can just plow through these fucking things now. I don't have to save them for anything.
Jim, would you say you're rushing through the beer?
Love salesman.
Damn it. Jim, just don't drink into the limelight.
It is the universal dream, Brian. Been chasing that goddamn dream for 10 years with this bullshit on here. It's such a vile temptress.
Damn it, Jim. So, Chambers, I've been very proud of you. I see you posted. Now, I don't know if you actually posted it from your console. I've heard about your problems with your PS5. So, tell me about what the fuck happened with that, and have you been able to do any more Fallout 4?
Well, Brian, I was really starting to get into Fallout 4. And then all of a sudden, I started noticing red dots all over the goddamn screen. Just like kind of swirling all around, and sometimes there's a few of them, sometimes there's a fucking lot of them. Almost like the static in game that you would hear, but it's not like lining up with it, so it's not like tied to the game. But yeah, just a bunch of red fuzzies all over the goddamn place. So of course I am out of the warranty period. And from talking to people, to send it back, a launch one to get fixed is probably going to be $200 to $300. So yeah, I'm not going to dump $800 goddamn dollars into this fucking system. So people have suggested opening it up and cleaning it. So I'll do that someday this week. I'll get the condensed air, open her up, and just spray the living shit out of it. Hopefully, the year I spent vertical, because the launch ones have the problem with the heat sink goo that was on the GPU that would like just melt away if you left it vertical, because it's such a well-designed system. So yeah, hopefully I didn't fuck my system doing that for the first year, and I'm hoping for the best.
You're not supposed to keep it vertical?
No, not the launch ones. The new ones you can.
Oh, okay. I don't know what mine is, if it's a launch one or not. How do you know if it's a launch one?
I think yours is a launch one. I think yours is the same model as mine.
Yeah, I've always had it vertical, and I've used it kind of forever.
And probably way more than I've used mine.
Yeah, that's... So that's why I'm asking, are you sure it's your PS5? Because you're doing it on that old-ass TV.
Yeah, I am doing it on the old TV, so before I open it up, I'm going to test it on another TV I have too, and with a different HDMI cable, just to be sure, cover all my bases before I fucking do some surgery. So, good. I did try my other consoles on the old TV, and they all worked fine. So, it's got to be something with the PS5.
And is that, yeah, when you did your research, is that like what you are seeing? That's a common thing?
It's a GPU fail. It could lead to a GPU fail. So if I don't address it beforehand, it could burn itself out, and then the system's like bricked, basically.
Jesus Christ!
I just want to go into Wastelands, Brian. I just want a goddamn game. I finally get in the mood to game again. In tragedy every time.
How far into it were you? Because I know previously you were only a few hours.
I was a couple more hours into it. Like I wasn't like super duper far. More enough that I would be very frustrated if I had to like start over from scratch again. Like, you know, when you hit that like 10-hour point, and if you lose everything, you're just like, fuck this, not going back to it. So yeah, I'm at that real precipice right now, Brian. It's actually fucking both nights this weekend I was able to game, or I could have. Friday night I gamed, saw the red fuzzies, went fuck me in the ass. And then Saturday I didn't feel like going through the hassle of like starting to work on it or test it. So I watched more of the Fallout series. Got one episode left. Good show.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how many episodes I'm in right now. How many are there?
I think there's only like 8.
Okay. So I'm at least 4 in there. Maybe 5. I don't know. Yeah, it is. It's surprisingly good for a video game show. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Prime seems to do things right with them. I don't know. Wait, where is Halo at?
Is that Paramount? I think that might be Paramount.
Yeah. I haven't watched it. I've heard from our buddy Jay. He said he liked it. And then I've heard from others they hated it. But I feel like everyone bitched about hating it because the guy took his mask off. Like Master Chief reveals himself too much. I'm like,
oh no, not the untouchable story of Halo. Oh God, how dare you? Oh, there's bug now.
God damn it, Jim. So what, did you decide to play anything else? Or
no, because I was really hard in Fallout, and then, you know, that happened. So this week, if I can't get this PS5 issue resolved, you know, somewhat easily, I'll just jump into Postal 2, get that out of the way.
Okay. Jim, now it's not quite the middle of May, but it's getting there.
Not a chance in hell I do any of these franchises or even 24 games this year. Not a chance. I burnt myself out on these goddamn, what do you call it, on these challenges. Like, I tried and I hit one game and I'm just like, I don't care about the rest of this series now. Like, I keep trying, like, I want to. It's not like the heart isn't willing. It's just motivation. The motivation's just not there at all right now.
Jim, would you say you're
I need to go back to gaming just for the sake of like sitting down and enjoying it. I can't have it a third year in a row feel like work.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you.
So sorry, everybody. Daddy Jimmy, who has never let you down before, has to let you down for the first time.
First time.
Through years and years of good takes and good games, now is the time, children. Now's the time. Time in any child's life when their daddy has to let them down for the first time. I'm not coming to T-ball practice. I'm sorry.
I would love just a reel of all your bad takes over the year.
I know. It'll be 0 minutes because there's none.
I mean, your Kevin Spacey one was pretty.
What?
Yeah, you got nothing.
Quit it. Did nothing wrong.
You willing to defend him, Jim?
Acquitted. All I have to say is acquitted, Brian. I don't have to say more than that.
You son of a bitch. Well, I am deep in the Capital Wasteland Fallout 3. I'm actually, I think like I was looking up, I was just going through kind of like doing my casual thing, doing side quests, doing main quest, and I think I'm actually almost done the main quest. And I was surprised because I have big plans for the Fallout games because I actually have all my footage from Fallout 4, all my footage from when I did New Vegas a year or two ago. I'm re-recording shit for 3. 76, I have a decent amount, but I want to go back through that. Going to be making a lot of tier lists, rankings, things of each individual game, just favorite quest, weapons, whatever. So when I looked up Fallout 3, I was like, there's really not as many quests as I thought there was. Like, I guess I overestimated them on how many there really were. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's only a couple, but like, I thought there was dozens, and there's really not. So I'm very curious to see once I round that out. And I'm going to do the DLC because I have all the DLC for it. But yeah, I still, man, I don't know what it is about these games. They are just, they're comfort food for me. It's so damn fun. I really would like for you and I to do a kind of more in-depth, which is better between that and New Vegas, which I know always tends to get a interesting comparison, and you have very diehards on both sides. I think it would be unfair to put 4 against either of them because I think 4 is such a step above in so many ways, whereas 3 and New Vegas I think are the fairest comparison.
I mean, you could make good arguments like 3 versus New Vegas and then 3 versus 4 because, yeah, 3 and 4 are wildly different games because New Vegas is way more RPG elemented than 4 is. 4 is way more action oriented. So I don't know. It'll be Jimmy can't talk. Only 260 episodes. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting comparisons though.
Yeah, and Jim, I just finally got the schematics for what we like to call the game breaker in 3.
Oh, what the fucking the bow, the crossbow,
the dart gun,
the tranq gun. Yep.
So
man, that makes life so much easier. Too easy even.
Well, that it got me
Shoot
thinking.
the dart, pause the game, change the gun. Shoot the dart, pause the game, change the gun. Rinse and repeat for 200 hours.
Did you I guess in Fallout 4 you didn't get to the dart gun yet, did you?
No, not yet.
So what
I had so much fucking Bethesda and your goddamn glitches in these fucking games. I dumped so many supplies into like the Mr. Cogsworth at the main town, like one of the first bases you can have. Mm-hmm. So much shit in him. I was just like, here, you're my fucking treasure chest. Go in there. Glitch somewhere. Don't know where the hell he glitched to. Just gone. Not around anymore. All those supplies. Poof.
Did he die?
I don't know. I can't find him.
How did you lose? Did you tell him to stay still somewhere by accident?
All I did was talk to him. Not even any dialogue tree. Just like, how's it going? Good. Walked away. Dumped shit in him. All of a sudden, gone.
What you should do is, if you get it working again, resave to a point where you know where he was at, and then try to trace yourself back to that. I bet you told him to stay right here.
Maybe. I don't fucking know. Goddamn Bethesda. Why do I love you so? With such frustration. Endless frustration.
It's funny. Between the Fallouts and Skyrim and all those, and everyone talks about glitches, I can only point to one glitch I've ever run to any of their games, and the one is in 4, actually, and I know they've patched it out. But did you get to the town yet where there's like the flying ship?
Don't think so.
Okay, so I forget what it is, but you end up doing a quest, and for some reason, like, even though I did everything, it never like said I completed it.
Oh,
Right?
that
Like,
happened to me in 3. Yep.
yeah, so that's literally the only time I was like, what the fuck? Like, I tried and tried. So, yeah, I don't know, but I'll be curious to see. On your side, I'm going to say it's a user error, Jim.
Don't you fucking dare.
But Jim, when I'm getting this dark on, I'm getting excited because yeah, it's been rough titties out there. I mean, running more and more. I don't know if you remember from 3, Old Alany, which is basically the equivalent to New Vegas, that mine shaft where all the death claws are. Old Alany is the abandoned town filled with death claws.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not fun, and not to mention, I have the game of the year with all the DLC, the Feral Ghoul Reavers, which are probably the toughest enemy in the whole fucking game. Who can sense you from like a mile away. And I'm like, it's a fucking feral ghoul. That ain't nothing. Hit him with a couple missiles. I'm like, why isn't he dying? He hits me and just fucking sends me flying like a goddamn, the Dovahkiin like yell. I was like, what the fuck is this? And yeah, I forgot that was part of the game. But still enjoying the absolute shit out of it. I'm hoping I can keep my motivation to then dive further into Fallout 76 so I can get far enough to really talk about all of it.
What are the bears called? I forget what they're called again.
Yao Gals?
Yao Gals or something, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely pulled just like the Brotherhood of Steel guy from the show because I ran into one super early on and I was like, oh, fuck, just running away from the goddamn thing.
Jim, is
I was Michael Rappaport that day.
I was going to say, is he your spirit animal?
He sure was that day. And he is generally angry and miserable, so maybe.
That was that show does a pretty damn good job with humor too. Like the writing is like, I'm like, God damn it, you actually hit the mark sometimes.
Yeah, no, the writing is not bad at all. It's very well done.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So I mean, Fallout 3, I will say that's been my kind of only thing I get a couple minutes here and there. Man, it's amazing how quickly you can sink a half hour into like just exploring one building in these games.
Oh yeah, like on Friday night, my wife went to bed early, so she was like, "You're gonna go game for an hour?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll probably be up in like an hour, so I'm pretty tired." 4 hours later, I'm coming to bed at like 1:30. I'm like, "Uh-oh, happened again."
The Bethesda effect, man. You gotta love it.
And how?
Well, Chambers, I do hope you get that PS5 fixed because
so do I. Because if I don't, Jimmy has joined the PC master race. Fuck consoles. I'll piecemeal and fucking have something that can play everything. I don't care anymore. I need a new computer anyway, so 2 birds with 1 stone at that point. I don't fucking care. I'll buy whatever Nintendo puts out there because they're in their own little world, and then for the rest of the games, PC boy.
But Chambers, you did mention, and I guess you technically will need to do it on some kind of PC, that you're going to finally dip your toes into Postal 2, which is, of course, our latest Patreon review request. So what questions do we have from our awesome patrons?
At patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question and we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. First up from good old Burn Retinas. Who are your 3 worst Mortal Kombat character designs?
Ooh.
How much time you got, buddy?
Worst designs. If we're going off the top of my head, I know we're going to miss them. I'm not going to count gameplay. I'm strictly talking designs. One of them has to be...
Striker still sucks. He's just a fucking guy.
No, I can't.
Don't justify it.
No, okay, so knockoff Ken. I forget that guy's name. I think his name was Cobra. From Deception. Or, yeah, I know he's in Deception.
Fuck, you're going deep on that one. Holy shit.
Yeah. Because it was literally just a knockoff Ken. So I inherently have an issue with that. Who's Hal? That fucking guy.
Yeah, fucking just lame.
It was like with that weird like chest laser titty thing, and he's
not Kano. Yeah.
Yeah, he was real corny.
Like he was almost a cool design, but just like, eh.
Yeah, and he had like the Chinese communist hat style with like the little mustache. It was just he was so blah. What's another one that just was very boring?
I mean, do you go like Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat 1? Just guy with black pants? Bruce Lee with black pants?
I mean, of course don't get me wrong, that's boring as shit, but I also give that more
it's Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah, I know. I'm being facetious there.
Yeah, kind of like the same way I'm giving Stryker the pass just because I'm like, the only thing about Stryker I don't get is his fucking like t-shirt instead of like an actual cop uniform.
Well, pride,
like,
you gotta breathe. All right, come on.
But he did have a cool backwards hat. So
you're in the outworld there, Brian. Come on.
He had the gloves. He had the hat. I mean, come on.
Snapback. Come on.
So how could he not be pretty cool, Jim? I'm just saying.
By like 1,000 ways. Looking at him, playing as him, his story.
We're not factoring any of that in there, remember? It's
looking at him.
It's just by looks. Yeah, but there's plenty of other shitty, like, who's that one ninja chick that's just in a white, like, pantsuit? Like, what are you, going to a fucking business meeting? Like, I forget her name. She's the one with the big circle hat, too.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her name right now.
Like, she's so boring, I couldn't even remember her.
Wasn't she, like, girl Raiden?
I don't know what the fuck that's what I'm saying. She was so boring to even look at. You're like, she's going up against like vampire chick or like female Jeff Hardy in the red and black or like, like other ones had cool designs and she's just like, yeah, pantsuit. You're like, what the fuck?
Even in like 11, that like poison moth girl thing, I was like, this is kind of a cool idea, but something about this is just incredibly boring and I don't care.
Boring, yeah. Playing as her story, I didn't give a shit. But at least the look was kind of, you're like, oh, that's a thing.
It just felt like it could have been better, though. It was just like, yeah, he made a bee monster.
I think the fucking, what I call the Thanos ripoff from 11, Garrus or whatever.
Oh, Garrus.
With the sand, I'm like, cool, you made Thanos in sand. I don't care.
Boys got sand.
Don't. Or how about the boss from those games who is just I always refer to her as the chick from the Avengers
from Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I'm like, you literally just did that.
Kronika had a very boring design.
Yeah.
It is like they had just watched Doctor Strange and went, oh yeah, I want to have what's her face in there.
Yeah, that and Thanos. Oh, just steal from them. You're like, okay, can you make it more interesting?
Ed Boon, stop watching Cape shit. Get back on the horse.
But all right. So I threw out some deep cuts, but try to stick to main roster or closer to main roster. Who's a boring design?
I mean, any woman after Mortal Kombat 9, am I right? Huh?
You mean the Ronda Rousey, Sonya Blade?
Took away all their personality.
I see what you did there. I mean,
all their opinions suddenly got so much more boring. I don't know what happened.
Damn it, Jim.
Ata.
You know what? Jax was pretty boring until he got the metal arms.
Yeah, he was.
I mean,
at first just like, buff guy. Now you're like, ooh, buff guy with metal arms.
I mean, metal arms, his design just went up like 20 million points. What was he? He was no metal arms in 2?
2, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you could probably say like 80% of the PS2 era from like Deadly Alliance through Annihilation. All those like one-off characters who like they didn't even look memorable, much less like, memorable for the story.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Like, was there a real obvious one we're missing?
Like what? Maven or Raven, whatever the fuck his name was?
David. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Maven, Raven, Daven, one of those names. He was pretty bland as shit too. Yeah,
not a good era for Mavens.
I mean, come on.
Bring him back now. Hey, he runs a hell of a YouTube channel. He's good.
Let's count our tits on that, Jim. He should have never won Tough Enough. It should have went to Josh.
Who the fuck remembers anyone else from season 1 of Tough Enough?
Someone who watched it enjoyed it.
Yeah, I watched it too 20 years ago.
Introduced me to Cold with the song "Gone Away." Come on, it was a great.
I still have the goddamn soundtrack in
yeah,
my, with
Year
all
of
my
the
CDs,
Spider.
all right?
It's great. Don't you try to tell
Don't
me,
you try me.
Josh was just too
I
little.
still have the Wall Lifetime Guarantee sticker on that, all right? Don't tell me what's what.
I feel like there's definitely someone we're missing as an obvious. Like, I mean, you pointed out Liu Kang was boring as shit in 1. Like, but it's 1, you give it the pass. After that, it's like you almost need your main hero to be kind of boring.
You need the straight man, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he looks badass in the latest one. Now that he's like fucking fire and thunder god combined.
Well, you'd hope.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, Raiden was always, except for when he was using lightning, he was kind of boring looking.
Yeah, but but he was always using lightning. He's impossible to not be lightning fine. So it was always cool.
You know what? Raiden in the latest Mortal Kombat, when he goes back to being like a peasant farmer, he's boring as shit.
Haven't played the new one yet, so I'll have to take your word on that.
So I like that. That's a great question.
Yes, I agree. So the final answer is all the women after they took the titties away. All right, moving on.
Damn it.
Good old Todd Howard sucks. What is your favorite frozen food? Pizza rolls, fish sticks, nuggies. Also, have you used an air fryer yet? It's the best for frozen food.
Have we used an air fryer?
Sir, please. Not only have we used an air fryer, we have also melted an air fryer on our old stove. By accident, but yes.
Damn it, Jim.
Wasn't my fault.
Favorite
I mean, what do you call them? Pizza rolls out of the goddamn air fryer. Chef's kiss. So goddamn good.
They're good. But
then
I'm like,
again, you know what's really good out of there, though? Like fucking all the cured meat products, like pork roll, hot dogs, put them in an air fryer. It's like all the joy of an oven without the half-hour wait.
yeah, but that's not frozen.
You could.
You're not gonna. What kind of fucking degenerate is gonna take frozen hot dogs and just pop them in an air fryer? Don't
Whoosh.
do that.
Kaboom!
No, when I think frozen foods, like, all right, frozen pizza's frozen pizza. I'm never gonna be like, that's the thing. There's some taquitos I really like in the air fryer.
Taquitos is good.
Yeah, chicken nuggets are always they're fine. I'm not gonna say they're top tier. You know what I've never tried, which I actually really want to now that we're talking about this, is a fucking Hot Pocket in the air fryer. I bet it's delicious.
I've never done this either. You might be onto something.
I mean, Hot Pockets I love enough out of the microwave, but man, you pop that motherfucker in an air fryer, I bet it's delectable.
Oh God, what a day and age to not have the meatball lean pocket around anymore. Not because you're saving any calories, because it's still a fucking Hot Pocket. But the meatball lean pocket was just different enough from the regular meatball hot pocket where it wasn't just. I think it's just the different cheese it used or the different combo of flavors. Oh my God, it was so goddamn good, and it wasn't the mess either.
Yeah, see, my go-to. So obviously, like everyone else, you start with the beef and cheddar. Like I found out about that when my dad when he used to work at Coke, and he would come home late and like he had weird hours. So I used to have those with him when he would try them. So I was always those, and then ham and cheese because like those were the easy and most accessible. And then when you found fucking pizza ones, you're like, oh man,
oh, it's game over. You're like, why am I wasting time with this ham bullshit?
And then don't get me started on the breakfast ones. I enjoyed the shit out of those for a while because they had an extra flaky crust. God damn, now I'm getting hungry for some fucking Hot Pockets. So you know what? I'm going to preemptively, before I even try it, say Hot Pockets in an air fryer.
For foods I have tried, I'll go with pizza rolls, but damn, I want to try a Hot Pocket now.
Yeah. Good question.
Yes.
Get me hungry, you son of a bitch.
You know what? I think I have a date night planned for myself. Just, pop in some Hot Pockets, burn the shit out of the roof of my mouth, sit down on my PlayStation, and watch it burn itself to death. What a night for Jimmy.
Touch yourself till you fall asleep.
I don't even bring that up anymore. It's just a given.
Damn it, Jim. I know what happens in that gray little couch behind you.
Well, by the time I'm done with it, it's only slightly gray.
Fuck. Thank you, Todd Howard sucks.
And thank you to all the patrons out there for all the support. So once again, head on over to Patreon, ask us those questions, look at those tiers, get some bonus content, get those bonus episodes. So I'm finally working on this tier list for Dragon Ball for Brian, so we can finally do the Dragon Ball movie for our next movie review. So we'll be getting there. You will see a Dragon Ball noob try to tier these characters. Like, I found a tier list. That wasn't the hard part, but getting like full body pictures that are like good to give Brian the essence of these characters, I'm like diligently going through all these, being like, nah, it's not good enough. Nah, I need their evolutions in there. Ah, God, I need more.
And just be prepared. I have a lot of backlogged footage. I did it with Jason. Gonna do it with Fallout. My puppet combo like, there's a lot of ranked and list videos that will be coming out. So be prepared for that. And also, I have some ideas for Jim and I to do rankings together for certain things. So keep an eye out for all that. But yes, I can't wait to piss off a lot of people. I'm gonna know what it's like to be Jim for once, to just say terrible opinions. Unless, of course, everyone ends up agreeing with me, Jim.
Knowing your bullshit, probably. He'll do it just to spite me.
Jim's like, God damn it, no, don't put that character there. And everyone's going to be like, yeah, of course put that character there.
Yeah, it sucks. What are you doing?
Thank you, guys. We truly, truly appreciate all the support, always. All right, Chambers. So let's hop right into here. So we got a little bit of a Nintendo heavy at first. And this tweet I actually saw myself. Came out on May 7th. We're recording on May 13th. But I'm going to fuck up his name so bad.
Try it, Brian.
Furukawa?
Yeah, it's probably close enough. Furukawa, something like that.
Yeah. The president of Nintendo, he just basically said they will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. He said it's been 9 years since the last one, but there will be a Nintendo Direct in June, and they are not going to talk about it at that time. So I guess it's good because he's kind of like preparing you to not be disappointed, which Jim and I already talked about. Like, will they talk about the Nintendo Direct? Well, he just confirmed it. The only thing, every company's fiscal year is a little different. Like, mine ends in the end of August, beginning of September. Jim, I forget, yours is kind of weird. Like, I feel like every company does it a little different. So I don't know when their fiscal year ends. It's not necessarily the calendar year.
Yeah, a lot do like April and like tax season.
Yeah. So who knows when we're actually going to hear about it. But it's funny because for all the shit I thought people would be disappointed in hearing it's not in June, the first like 15 comments I scrolled through all like, yay, thank God we're hearing it. Like, it's all joyous. I'm like, you fucking Nintendo fan dorks.
Well, I mean, it's the first time that they were like confirming, and I like how it's an announcement for an announcement, but it is like the first time they've publicly said, yes, we have a successor coming. So obviously there's been all these rumors we've been talking about for months now, but I mean, I guess that's the big news. We'll hear something eventually at some point. Hooray!
And you're at the point now, no matter what they put out, you think you're a day one buy?
I mean, if not day one, probably within the first 6 months. Depends on what the launch lineup is going to be.
What's a price point that would take you out of that?
Anything over 300, probably.
So if it was like 350 or 4, you don't think you'd go for it?
350, I'd be a maybe. 4, I'd be like, come on. You got to at least give me some processing power here.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I don't play my Switch for processing power, but for a brand new thing, I'm going to need a little bit more than what they're probably going to give you for $400.
So what do you think is going to be the gimmick with this one? Obviously, they're going to keep it. My guess is they have to keep it as like a Switch, keep it portable, have it do all that. Do you think they're going to dive deeper into AR or VR or some capability with that?
Please don't waste your fucking time on AR. Because they were one of the first big ones to use AR back when the 3DS first came out. And I don't think anyone really cared. And I think they might have learned that lesson, so I really hope that they stay away from that. VR, like no one is doing VR right now. No one cares about that. It's as niche as it's ever been, if not more so. Like there's no hype around it right now. I just give me a nice hybrid portable game console, just a stronger version of what we had before. Just give me that, something that's a little more future proof for another 5 to 6 years, and I'm happy there.
I just think
they always have a gimmick. They always fuck with something in some way. I know this. Like I know, from the rumors, there's going to be an extra button on the sides. God knows what they're going to do with that. But just please, just give me just a better of what we have now. Come on.
And enough with the motion shit. We don't need it anymore. Everyone's over it. No one enjoys it.
Not a ton of games use it. Almost nothing at this point really uses it. Fucking the Tears of the Kingdom, they took that out of the game.
Thank God that fucking puzzles in Breath of the Wild, stupid shit. We talked about that with Adam.
Yes, we did.
But yeah, obviously Jim and I will cover it. My guess is, like I said, I think a lot of them are like my company, where August, September timeline would be my guess. So if they're doing something in June, even though they're not going to announce it, it wouldn't shock me if there isn't a teaser trailer, which is just the red Nintendo thing with the name of it, like Switch 2 or Switch whatever. And that's it. Like nothing else. Like, and then the announcement of when the announcement's going to be.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. We'll see.
Look, I just want it, like I keep saying, just keep the pace. Keep the pace, make it stronger, make it, make this brand last longer. Because if they do that, they should keep seeing these monstrous sales that they've been seeing on their first-party titles. So this was posted a couple days ago, and it's from some random account called Pierre485, but he found a list of the top 67 known first-party million sellers on the Switch. So having 67 first-party games hit 1 million sales is pretty impressive. Mario Kart fucking 8, almost 62 million sales, Brian. 62 million sales of a console that has sold about 135 million systems. And then you take into account how many of those are probably, people who bought multiple systems. That's easily more than probably a 50 to 60% install base. Like almost 1 in every 2 people with a Switch, or more so, has Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Insane.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think that is one of those games that...
How does a 7-year-old game sell 8 million units? Like, it was almost the highest selling game of the year for Nintendo still, after all this time. How?
And it doesn't shock me. I mean, the ability to play it online. I mean, Mario Kart, at the end of the day, we've said, Nintendo will always live and die by its first party. The only thing I wish they would have put on this list is with third party. Like, I'd be curious where third party games fell in this list.
I do want to see a third party list game. Let me see if I can look that up quick. Right, keep bullshitting. Go through the top 10.
I mean, Mario Kart 8 makes complete sense. Animal Crossing, like Jim and I said, I think I would attribute a huge number of that to the COVID times. Like, that was the get over COVID game for a lot of folks. Not saying it wouldn't have sold amazingly, but I think that helped push it. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. I always look at like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers. You're going to have one or the other. I think Mario Kart is always a little more accessible for a lot of folks. And I think that's what it is. Whereas not as many family members who aren't into gaming are going to be willing to sit down and try and fuck around with Smash Brothers. Because it's like a little bit of a deeper thing. Breath of the Wild, of course. Like, that was a no-brainer that should have been there. Super Mario Odyssey. The Pokemons. Both of them, I couldn't tell you which one came first. Sword or Shield or Scarlet and Violet. But, yeah. I mean, since you don't have another way to play Pokemon games, like there isn't a DS, whatever, or some other peripheral, of course it's always going to be high on here. Super Mario Party. I'm actually a little shocked it's this high. I would have thought some of these other games would have beat it. Tears of the Kingdom. Not a shocker. New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. Another one I'm shocked is quite as high as it is. And then really from here, it's kind of I kind of consider it a no man's land of of being shocked that things are here or not. Like Ring Fit Adventure.
That was a big kind of deal for a little while early on within the first 2 or 3 years. Like a lot of people are getting it. They say it's actually a really good workout too.
This is I attribute to the grandma, mom, and dad crowd.
Ish, but not even that. Like a lot of just like every kind of gamer was kind of buying it at one point. Again, probably another COVID helped fucking game. It's like, oh, I better get my ass moving while I'm stuck inside.
I'm still shocked we're still in the top 14 and there's 3 more Pokemons. I mean, I know Pokemon, its fans are rabid, but fuck, how much Pokemon can you fucking enjoy over this period? It's a lot, is all I'm saying.
There is a lot of Pokemon on this list.
Then I was very happy to see Luigi's Mansion 3 on here, which I have and I still need to play. Splatoon 2. I actually was expecting that to be higher.
That's a port, though. I think.
Is it?
I think that just came out really early on. I could be wrong.
Yeah, because I don't see. I'm scanning. I don't see the original Splatoon on.
No,
here.
that was a Wii U game.
It was okay. Then you have some Super Mario games, and I have the list up as we're talking. Switch Sports, which I'm still kind of shocked. I feel like that's nothing like Wii Sports.
I was shocked that was as high as it was.
Yeah.
I guess there's still a market for that, though. All right, yeah, Splatoon 2 was just an early Switch game. All right.
Okay. But then, honestly, everything after here, it's what you would expect. There's nothing on here like, I guess for you, Jim, I mean, I know you love Metroid Dread. Are you shocked it's at 38? Should it be higher? Should it be or did you think it would have been higher or lower?
Metroid never sold well in general. Like, it's always been a really loved series, but it's never been like a gigantic seller, no matter what system it was on. So, I mean, 3 million, that's not bad for that series.
Yeah, and then they also have, where is it? I know I saw it. Where's Metroid Prime?
Yeah, I think the Prime Remaster, it's 58 with like 1.5 million, which, hey, we're at 1.36. Still not terrible.
But no, I mean, I think this is what I would have expected. A lot of these games I haven't played, don't even know about, but...
Bro, you don't know about Dr. Kawashima's brain training for Switch?
Like, what the fuck?
Outdoing all 3 Bayonettas.
Well, that's the part that I kind of go, wow. Like, Bayonetta 3 is...
Well, Bayonetta 1, like, that's been ported since the 360 days, so that's not a shock, yeah. Bayonetta 2, that was a Wii U exclusive, so obviously did better on the Switch. But yeah, Bayonetta 3, maybe it was all the controversy, I don't know.
That's why I'm curious, like, was that game just not fun to play? Like, there's no way that's that low selling just for the controversy and the shit with the voice act. There's no way. It's got to be the game just isn't that good.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably good enough without being amazing.
Yeah. Now, were you able to find any third-party shit?
Not like a definitive list. Like, I saw, like, say, Monster Hunter Rise that had, like, 7.5 billion sales, which is pretty damn good. Monster Hunter, for a long time, was, like, kind of more of a niche series. But, yeah, I haven't seen anything too crazy. I'll keep looking. I'll try to find one for next week.
Now, like you said, that's what
I'll forget.
Damn it. I'm just curious because I wonder if there's a third-party title that would crack the top 10.
Probably not. I would be shocked if a third-party title made the top 10. Or actually, pardon me.
Maybe Skyrim?
Maybe Skyrim, because that was very early on. Minecraft, Fortnite, Rocket League. Any of the kind of just more general games. The kid-friendly shit that everyone plays. Wouldn't shock me if any of them were up there.
Yeah. So, no, it's an interesting list. It's no shock. Nintendo does fucking monstrous numbers, and they're going to continue to do it with this next console.
Yeah, hope. Right. They had the itis. They had the sequelitis. They have a hit, they have a bomb. They have a hit, they have a bomb. It's been a weird couple of decades for them.
We'll see. My money goes on. They'll be fine, Jim.
If they find a way to fuck this up, I will be flabbergasted.
Jim, they'll do a lot.
even the Wii, you're like, yeah, it sold 100 million units, but what games does it have? It was a gimmick. But
Yeah.
if they fuck this up, man, I don't know.
They might go the way of 3 of Bethesda studios.
Fucking just goddamn anything under Microsoft's umbrella right now in general. Holy shit.
Whew. Yeah. So this is other news that it was as of May 7th. A lot of people know about this. It's unfortunate. But a couple of the studios underneath Bethesda have been shut down, which include Arcane Austin, Alpha Dog Studios, Tango Gameworks, and Roundhouse Games. And these are just a few, and more specifically, I was looking up the games that they made. Now, Arcane Austin is known for Redfall. That's kind of their big to-do.
Yeah, they finished off Redfall. It started with ZeniMax before it was bought out by Bethesda, before that was bought out by Microsoft. So, yeah, that was a legendarily fucked up kind of development cycle.
Yeah, and all that, I mean, but that same team under the Bethesda Softworks umbrella also did Dishonored and Prey and Wolfenstein, the Youngblood and Cyber and Deathloop. So they were also working on Marvel's Blade, which I'm kind of interested in. But okay, so that's one where you're like a little shocked. And then you have Tango Gameworks, which is the one.
That's the one everyone went, what the fuck?
So Hi-Fi Rush is the game that everyone's like, are you serious? But they also did make Evil Within and Evil Within 2. Ghostwire Tokyo, I know about the game. I don't know how it was received. But Hi-Fi Rush is the big, like, everyone's freaking out. Now, I know you and I talked about this game. I know it's rhythm-based action game. I haven't played it. I know nothing about it other than its fans love the shit out of the game.
And it won a fuck ton of awards. And that was the last game that really drove in like new subs and sales for Game Pass too.
So, do you know anything more about the game other than calling it rhythm? Like, is it kind of like Hellsinger, where you just need to maintain a beat 'em up, but to a beat?
I haven't played it yet. I know our buddy Blade. I think he talked about it when he was on the last time he was on about how much he loved it. Yeah, I don't know that much about it. I want to play it for myself. I hear it's stylistic as hell. The music's awesome. I hear it's super duper fun. So, like, I do want to play it. But, yeah, I couldn't tell you about the actual gameplay loop right now.
Yeah. That's the biggie. The other ones, as we said. So then you have Human Head Studios, which they originally did Rune.
What?
They did a bunch of games in between. Okay. And then of course you have, what was the last one? I already said Roundhouse, Tango. Did I already mention Alpha Dog? Yeah, Alpha Dog's the one where it's a little bit of a smaller company. They did that that spin-off of Doom, Mighty Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of that, they did something called Wraithbone.
Okay.
Which I don't know anything about that. So, obviously...
Look, everyone's just pissed off about Hi-Fi Rush.
They're furious about it.
And the reason we're all pissed off about it, too, is because it's just like, what the fuck does it take to survive at Microsoft right now? Like, how do you have a game that was, like, that loved, that praised, won that many awards, and that couldn't save a fucking studio within their umbrella? Like, that's the thing where everyone's going, what the fuck is happening over there? And the prevailing idea right now kind of is that, like, Microsoft itself started to take a look at the Xbox brand because of basically the Activision deal and spending $70 billion. So now Microsoft is like, all right, what are you doing with all of this money that you have?
Mm-hmm.
So this was going around everywhere by a guy named Brad Hildebrand, and he used to work at Microsoft and EA. And basically, he gives his opinion on it. And he says there's 2 reasons why Bethesda Studios closed, and neither of them have anything to do with Bethesda directly. Game Pass and Activision. The problem with Game Pass is that every game that launches in there badly misses its sales goals. Makes sense because why pay full price to buy a game when you can play it for free as part of your subscription? So it's accounted for somewhat for a revenue of the top performing games, but once people play it, it's not going to be the top performing game for too long. And so that was fine while Game Pass was growing like gangbusters, but it has slowed down to a crawl. and the revenue is attributing to games isn't keeping up with the budgets to make them. And that wouldn't have mattered 3 or 4 years ago because Xbox was rounding error on Microsoft's books. But then they made some money, and more importantly, it didn't cost that much, and other parts of the business easily covered the gap. When they went on a buying spree and spent a lot of money on Bethesda, but orders of magnitude more on Activision, the eye of Sauron has turned, and Xbox is expected to start making that $78 billion back, or at least cut expenses to the bone while they try. And yeah, he just goes back to how Game Pass is... we're in this catch-22 right now, where Game Pass is an awesome idea for the end user and the end customer, but because, yeah, all right, I have Game Pass, I pay 15 to 20 bucks a month, I play a bunch of games, and I beat them, and I move on to something else. And if I like it enough, maybe I'll go buy it, but for the most part, people don't. And, yeah, when you couple that with people just not buying the games and the ever-increasing cost of making AAA games, something's got to give eventually. And he's basically saying stuff that, like, COD will be fine, mega IPs will be fine. But, yeah, a lot of the little guys and the mid-tier guys, like, making those cult hits like Hi-Fi Rush, which was the only exclusive game from Microsoft that anyone really fucking cared about and liked last year, because Starfield sure as shit wasn't that. So, yeah, again, it just comes down to a big what the fuck.
So I'm torn as well, because on one hand, I'm straight up unwilling to pay $60 for a game that I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if I'm going to get enough hours of entertainment out. Like, there's so many questions, right? And with Game Pass, like you said, you know there's a big enough library where you're going to find something you like, one way or another. You're going to play. Worst case, you didn't enjoy that game. Oh, well, it's factored in there. We've said this. I think there's such an oversaturation of games right now. Just like with TV shows. We're talking about Fallout, but then somebody else you talk to could tell you probably 7 other shows that you're like, you got to see. It's so amazing. There's too much shit out there. And I think there always will be standouts. And a game like Hi-Fi Rush, whether it was under, like, you could argue, is it as well known and well received because it was on Game Pass or just because it was a good game? Like, could it have stood up on its own if it was released indie style and you had to get word of mouth? You don't know. Like, that's the catch-22. And if you're one of these developers, it's kind of like, oh man, like, I really hope I can get on Game Pass, get as many eyes as I can. It's like comedians on, like, Netflix back in the day. Like, that was like, we're going to make it. Now there's too many fucking specials on Netflix, right? So I kind of have that feeling like quality will always rise to the top no matter where it's found. If you make a good enough something, it will get found. But it's going to also kind of weed out a lot of the mediocre stuff. And I'm not saying these games or even companies are mediocre, but in the grand scheme of what sells on Game Pass, it's not going to go anywhere. Now, I'm just curious, like they're saying they're trying to focus in. Will these companies be absorbed and used on other Bethesda projects, or are they going to be left to their own devices? That I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And how many of these people who lost their jobs are going to want to go back to Microsoft after what just happened to them?
Then it also begs the question, where do you go?
It's true. There's only so many jobs out there. I mean, it's weird how fast Game Pass is really pushing gaming into like how movies are right now. Because movies, all you have are either blockbusters or super, super indie niche stuff. Like that middle tier is gone. It like just does not exist anymore. At least for stuff that gets like released to theaters. So, you know, you could have random stuff that gets made by these little one-off studios and might be a minor hit on one of these streaming things, but then it goes away. And then what are you left with? Then you either have to spend $80 on the next COD with barely any content, or, you know, you might get lucky and have a new Hades every couple of years. It's a weird spot we're in right now.
Yeah, and that's my point is, see, what you're paying for with COD is, it's the argument of the multiplayer versus single player, right? Like, Nintendo proves there's still a single player market out there for games. And enough of these single player games, Elden Scrolls, insert anything else. There is a market, but if you are judging yourself against a COD, a Fortnite, a whatever, you're never going to compete. And the Game Pass, it is amazing for end users, but as an indie developer, I don't know if it was ever meant to be indie developer friendly versus saying, should there be a little bit of an expectation like you're not going to make the same amount of money you could going indie? It's I mean, you're in a band. You know, it's like the same idea. Like you could be indie darling and loved by everyone, or you can try to be picked up by someone big and hope you make it. Like, you know, Game Pass is going to give you a larger audience, period. Kind of like getting your shit on Steam, but Steam like lets everyone go there. So I guess it's a bad comparison.
Yeah, that's not an accomplishment to get on Steam, but yeah, Game Pass, I guess, is for a small company is probably just investing in yourself because it's like, well, this is the best way to get some easy eyes on us. We're just, a listing here that's basically free. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks because like our buddy Blade and other people we know who've been affected by I feel like the past 2 years, the number of not just Microsoft, but game company layoffs has been pretty fucking insane. So,
oh yeah.
But once again, is it because we're in an oversaturated market right now?
Yeah, I mean, like, you can have all the outrage in the world, but there were a lot of jobs that were created during COVID. And then now the COVID boom for gaming kind of went away because, people can leave their houses again. A lot of jobs are being lost, and it sucks. And I'm not saying it's the fault of any of these people who work at these places either. It's just, I don't know. It's part of it is what it is, and it is a part of just the management in general. Like, Brett, do you think at this point, do you think Phil Spencer's done a great job with Microsoft? Like, I think he coasted for a long time on not being Don Matrick, who had that disaster in 2013 that Xbox has never recovered from. And like, yeah, he was the idea guy, I guess, behind Game Pass. Everyone loves Game Pass, but I don't know. What else has he really done since then? Like, he hasn't saved Xbox, really. The brand keeps losing sales and not selling. Like, do you think they should go for a new chief guy, a new spokesperson, a new idea at the top? Like, what does Xbox do at this point?
I don't know if there is. I mean, like you and I have said, I think they need to recognize their sales, their strength is not going to be in console development, hardware development. I think Xbox, like, they're going to live and die by Game Pass at this point. Like, they need to just be a service. That's what they're best at. And they've acquired these companies with amazing IPs that if they use that to their advantage and they just make it a service-based thing, I think most people are maturing and getting out of the idea of, and I know you'd argue with me on this, but like exclusives are kind of corny. The only one that is truly exclusive is like, I feel like Nintendo. And we're going to touch on a company that may have pissed off a lot of other people with exclusives. But that idea of like, I want my exclusive, it's like, no, dude, I just want to play whatever console my friends are playing. The true diehard gamers, they're still out there and they're very vocal. But the common gamers, like friends of us who we know, it would be outrageous to them if now they couldn't play cross-platform on the major games they like because somebody has a PlayStation, I have an Xbox. Like, cross-platform, call it what you want, globalization of shit is just, that's the wave of the future. And whether you like it or not doesn't matter. So Xbox doesn't need to like reinvent itself. It doesn't need to like prove it's got the best exclusives. It needs to just be like, we got the best service, period. You're going to want us on whatever console you're rocking with. And not saying Game Pass will ever show up on Sony, but I still believe it wouldn't shock me to see them on a Nintendo console. Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
There's a chance. Always a chance. Back to the exclusives, I'll always say it breeds competition. It's important, necessary evil, but that's fine. It's fine when you get nickel and dime more than you do now when you're under one umbrella. It's fine. It's good. Let the globalists win, Brian.
I'm saying...
Me and Alex Jones and I will just sit there and say, told you.
I'm saying a console should not dictate exclusives because exclusives do not breed better quality. It's the developers, the indie developers, like someone with a good idea for a game. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. That's why we have indie darling games that take off. Like fucking Slender Man was a joke of a PC game. Five Nights at Freddy's was a joke. It still catapulted itself into everything, right? Because people enjoyed that. It wasn't because it was an exclusive for a console or PC or whatever. Like, that's my point. Like, the exclusiveness is good for competition between those, but as we're proving by these larger companies, they only care about final sales, and final sales right now are really going to be dictated by things like micro purchases, DLC, the shit we hate. It's not just by who creates the best games. So,
look, Brian, you can say competition's not good. That's fine. That's fine. You can have Dixie Carter running one side, and then you can have the anonymous GMs on the other side, and the bigger winner. It's fine. It's good. Everything works out great, Brian. People love it.
would you say
It always turns into quality.
I'm saying, would you say gamers are winning right now with the competition? They're not.
But it could be worse.
Hell.
Well, no, there's not competition right now in the A space because Microsoft doesn't have any competition it's putting out there. That's why everything's getting stale. It's just like, oh, another open world game from on PlayStation. Oh, cool. Another open world big game. Cool. Like, that's all we have in the AAA sphere. And then you have just whatever the fuck Nintendo's doing.
Yeah,
and
but
then Game Pass just go, everything else that's over there, and Forza, cool.
yeah, but I don't think exclusives they haven't mattered since Super NES and Genesis. Like, truly mattered. Like, I'm not going to only buy a console because of an exclusive. Like, in this day and age, I don't think anyone's willing to shell out $600 for a PlayStation for its one or two exclusives.
Yeah, and that's why everyone complains that PlayStation has no games on it that you can't get anywhere else. Because then everyone's going, why am I buying this console? Pretty soon, everything, like I'm saying, will just be under PC, except for Nintendo.
Yeah, which is fine.
We'll see, Brian. We'll see. We'll touch on this again.
I mean, it's not like there isn't 30,000 probably games available out there for you from previous generations that you could just go back and play if you don't like the fact that everything needs to be played through a PC in the future.
Oh, I'm not saying this is a me problem here, Brian. I'm just saying, let's see what the industry does. It'll be good. It'll be fine. It'll be wonderful.
Well, tell us about the industry and exclusives, Jim, because I've heard there's some other trouble or brewing for PlayStation.
Oh, well, Brian, are you talking about how a certain one of their biggest companies under their umbrella is moving away from being a PlayStation exclusive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Square Enix, a company that for years and years and years has kept all their best shit under the Sony umbrella. I mean, most notably Final fucking Fantasy. Like, that's the bread and butter over there. But yes, they have been running into some problems lately with sales. Pardon me, and money. And they are aggressively pursuing a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. In regards to major franchises, AAA titles, and tooling catalog titles, it will build an environment where more customers can enjoy our titles. In addition, it will also devise a platform strategy for SD titles, whatever that is, that includes not only iOS and Android, but also the possibility of PC launches. Building continuous customer contact points of our titles by stepping up digital sales, create the interaction with customers, and increasing sophistication of publishing function. The group will pursue integrated sales and marketing opportunities in Japan and make efficiency of publishing and consolidating the marketing functions that were previously spread across creative business units, expanding shared knowledge, and eliminating duplicate functions. God damn, these run-on sentences. And yeah, basically, the long story short of all this legal corporate mumbo-jumbo is, their sales have been hurting, and they are going to be branching out and not just sticking to Sony at this point. So basically, here's my thing on this. Yes, going multi-plat will definitely help them have way more sales. But you know what Square Enix's biggest problem has been lately, Brian?
What's that?
Quality of their games. The quality.
Yeah.
Because people haven't been buying most of these games. That's the problem. Like, it wasn't a problem when they were selling, tens of millions of units of a good Final Fantasy game every single time it came out. It becomes a problem when you're spending $300 million to make a game and it's not making it back. And then you split one game into three and people lose interest. Or you make just like a god-awful game like Forspoken and no one gives a shit about it. And that's a massive bomb. And they've had a bunch of other bombs over the past few years.
So, but at the end of the day, it sounds like in this particular situation, the gamers win. Because now they'll have access. Yeah, but that's my point. Like, right? Like you just pointed out. For one reason or another, you can speculate why. their games just aren't selling the way they should be. Is it because they're shittier games? Is it because people are tired of the formula? Or is it because people don't give a shit enough about exclusives? You tell me.
I mean, it's possibly. Let's see here. I'm trying to find fucking sales game numbers for Square Enix games. It's fucking tough to find. I just know they've had a lot of bombs. They've had a shitload of bombs in between their like marginal hits that people seem to really like, but we're already seeing that, I already talked about it on my solo episode, that law of diminishing returns with these Final Fantasy cut downs and, putting a lot of money into Octopath Traveler 2, which is, a marginal hit. But again, it didn't have the aura of being like the first game in that style like Octopath 1 was. And then, Forspoken was a bomb, and they've had other shit that was a bomb. It's weird. They're in a weird point right now.
Yeah, I saw the reactions from some place. I saw some shit you reposted, by the way, or commented on, and the reactions from Sony fanboys are, to say they're dramatic would be understating.
Right. You think black people know struggle? Try being a PS5 owner. Granted, probably just bait, probably just troll bait, but at this point, I can't give anyone the benefit of the doubt anymore, Brian. There's no benefit to be given. Doubts for days.
Yeah, man, people need to get offline. That's all I can say. Get offline. Here's the deal. Having never played a Final Fantasy all the way through, is this the biggest deal? I don't know. Like, I'm a believer that regardless if a specific company is exclusive, there's enough people out there that, like, you're going to be a PlayStation person regardless. And you're really going to be that because your group of friends are. Like, that's what's going to dictate it. Like, you and I have been Xbox supporters since the 360 for one reason or another, just because all of our college buddies had it, and that's what we all played.
Yep.
Had everyone had PS3 back in the day, I don't know, maybe we would have went there, but this is just the way it went,
How much goodwill has Xbox lived on with so many gamers like us, just based off how good the 360 era was?
Probably a ton. And it's one of those things, you get stuck in it's the familiar thing. I was PlayStation up until, well, granted, it was only PS1, PS2, and I still support PlayStation by buying it, even though I don't get a lot of games. But, I mean, there's some people that will only be Nintendo. Some people that will only be Sony. Some people that will only be, and then there's a PC folks that won't get any of it. So that's why I keep saying, like, having exclusives really just hurts the end user, because if you can't afford every console, then you just have to force yourself to miss out on some great games. I don't know. At the end of the day, people...
Pros and cons, Brian. Pros and cons everywhere.
In theory. I think I'm right, but in theory.
But Bryce, speaking of missing out on great games, how would you feel if you bought a game and it just never showed up? And you wait years and years and years, and then some dickfuck on YouTube just goes, "Oh, I just found a pallet of these games in some warehouse."
I mean, that's why I stopped ordering from Limited Run, Jim.
Well, Brian, at least you eventually get your game from Limited Run. For as many problems as Limited Run has, and oh boy, is there a lot, at least you eventually get the games. But I just want to throw this in here because we talked about Paprium before. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Paprium, the game that took 10 years to finally come out, and a shitload of the people who got their game, the game just doesn't work. And it's kind of a cool game, and the people who play it and can say they like it, but yeah, there's still a metric fuck ton of pre-orders that have never been fulfilled. But apparently they're just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. So yeah, a random YouTuber over in France was going through a warehouse, and he found box after box of Paprium games. And this wouldn't be as bad as it seems. I mean, it's very bad, but Fonzie and Watermelon Studios have also already been making crowdfunding campaigns and pre-orders for other ports of Paprium, like the Game Gear and other bullshit like that, while still never fulfilling these things. So yeah.
he does mention, he said, I had to, so the guy's name is Paravec, And he said, I'm making this video for information purposes. I had to make this video to show you, in fact, a significant quantity of Sega Mega Drive games of the title Paprium, and indeed in this warehouse. And if it sounds like I'm reading it funny, it's because he wrote it funny. In this box,
it's French.
Yeah, of imported products. Obviously, I am taking a certain risk in making this video, but afterwards, having become full aware of the subjects, I had to provide answers to all those people who have already paid for this game and who have been waiting for months and years. So here's the deal. It says, so what are all these copies doing there? And the picture and the video, and I'm going to be running the video as we talk. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 18 to 20 boxes. I don't know how many games are in each box. There's a lot. And it says, I don't know what all these copies are doing here. Perhaps they're about to be sent out to customers, or have they been sitting there for much longer? My first question is, the developer of this game, are they French-based?
Yes.
Okay. This guy doing this video, there's like a gazillion questions I have. Like, how did he have access to this particular place? Where is it? Is it a shipping place? Did he just fuck with someone's game? Like, could you imagine you're the one who gets it and you're like, why the fuck is this already cut open?
Yeah, right.
Like there, I think it's, on one hand, there's part of me, it's like, it's cool he's showing this. I don't know. Like, I do have a lot of questions about it. Like, why are they sitting there? To your point, I didn't realize that it's really been since 2012, like when this saga began.
Yep.
And that there's still a lot of people who have not received it. I mean, the big push was in what? 2019, 2020?
I think it was like 2020 or 21 when people finally started to get their games. I think like 17, 18 maybe, or even earlier for the crowdfunding part.
I mean, listen, unfortunately, and we covered in our early years of doing this podcast, how many failed crowdsourced things just fucked up, right? Like, first it was just crowdsourcing in general was like a complete joke. I don't even remember, what were the names of all those crowdsourcing sites that would do shit?
Oh, Kickstarter and other shit. Yeah.
There was other ones, but like you'd hear stories left and right. Like
Indiegogo.
Yeah, like, oh, they raised $500,000, but then couldn't deliver or this or that. And now these like indie developers that are like, honestly, I just call it feeding on retro gamers who really want a new game for their old system. I don't know, man. That there's something weird about a whole bunch of boxes there, but at the same time, could they just be getting ready to be shipped? That's why, like, I want to know more about this guy himself. I don't know.
Yeah. Basically, like, Watermelon at this point is kind of like Bitmap Bureau if they did everything wrong. Because Bitmap, like, they do a good, like, Xenocrisis, like, push the limits of the Sega Genesis, was a huge hit for them, got their games out to people quick, and they all worked, and it was high quality, and now the game is ported to literally every system ever, basically. And people keep buying it for the different systems because they want to support the people. Watermelon, not in the same boat. So this is what you get. You always take a gamble with these Kickstarters. Like, you know, we say, there's a good chance you'll never get your money or your product, but when you do, it's awesome. And when you don't, you're a Fonzie.
I know you're a supporter of these goofy shits and spending your money where you shouldn't, like with limited run. But I don't know. When I see shit like this just double, triples down. Like, yeah, I don't need to do this. Like, I don't need to try to support something unless it's like tried and true. And in granted, sometimes they don't produce enough games where you might get FOMO because they have a limited amount of the games. So you might not be able to ever get it. But, like, I don't know. I think that's something that is going to go by the wayside at the end of the day. Like, I think it's our generation is probably the last one. I think future generations aren't going to care enough to go out, get an older console, and then want to get new games for it. They're just going to find ways to emulate it one way or another, or just not care. And when you have stories like this, it's just going to make it worse.
True, but it would be interesting to see. It would be really interesting to see like the next generation of gamers, like from our age group, like people who were 5 or 6 when like the PlayStation 1 or 2 was around. Like there isn't a market right now for people making new PlayStation 2 games. I wonder when that starts up if people are going to glom onto it the way people glom onto new Genesis or Super Nintendo games.
If at all, right? Like, I guess here's it's a larger question. Do you think nostalgia hits every generation, or do you think there's enough, like our generation, I feel like is that nice mixture of you like the nostalgia, but we embrace the future. Whereas I think these younger generations are always about strictly future. Like there's something better on the horizon all the time. Just keep moving forward. Don't look back.
Gaming, it might be too early to tell, but I think people in general always are going to be nostalgic for their stuff. Because like if you look at TV and movies over the years, there's always like a 20-year gap where something old becomes new again. Like how many 70s reboots of shit did we have in the 90s? Or like during the 80s and 70s, like how many, like Happy Days for the 50s, you know, a show in the 70s about the 50s, huge hit, that kind of deal. So you never know. I think there's always going to be a place for someone to want to go back to what's familiar and what everyone considered a better time.
Ooh, well then that does bring up like, okay, so say a kid that was young enough started in the 360 era. Honestly, if that's where they started, all those games in one form or another are only available that you can get them digitally anyway. So does it end with that generation?
It's a good question.
Like, because honestly, even if you
and like, how do you replicate that era too? Just because like gaming today is largely still built off the backbone of that generation.
That's what I
like
mean.
everything's prettier, but you still have like everything either comes down to military shooter or open world game basically, or stealthy platformer, like an Uncharted or an Arkham, that kind of shit.
You could even argue
there's not a lot of in betweens.
Even PS2.
You just make it more green and gray, and ooh, that's an Xbox 360 throwback.
Yeah, but like to that point, like you even go back to PS2. Like I could argue that was the start of a lot of these styles. Like a lot of these open world, like we love Hulk, Ultimate Destruction.
Damn right.
But that in and of itself, like, has been replicated with future games, right? Like going back to that one, you'd only just have to love the Hulk. But like that style in itself, it's not like an 8-bit style like the NES or 16-bit or whatever. Like there's nothing that's going to make it stand out enough where you're like, ooh, that's the one I really want to replicate. So I don't know. It is interesting. But these companies with like fucking Paprium and do you think this sparks enough of a outrage by folks that they are going to send it out in the next month or so?
No, because Fonzie's a troll who doesn't really care.
Okay.
I mean, you would hope it would ship these games out there, but I don't think there's any guarantee of that happening. Why are they all sitting there? Maybe hey, benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were just sitting there about to be shipped out. Maybe. Or maybe it's been, like 5 years now. They might just be collecting dust. Who knows?
Oh, now if a guy
it's not our boy Rue. It's not our boy Retro Rue. There's a boy who packs his shit up by hand, sends it to the people. That's who you support.
Well, let me ask you. This is going to be a morally gray area. Would you support a guy like that who clearly has access to these boxes enough to where he's fucking opening them at whatever time of day, if he were just to steal them and then sell them secondhand?
Well, I can't support that just because like that's people's pre-orders that are being fucked with. So he's not just stealing from the dev at that point. He's stealing from people still waiting for their games. I couldn't support that.
But couldn't you argue it would it still forces the developer to send out new copies?
No, because he could still just never do it anyway. So, yeah, now for a guy like as lazy as Fonzie's been and as mismanaged as he's been, it would probably just mean it never happens for all these people. Instead of giving him a hope that it might happen because it's sitting there, he would just go, fuck it, I'm not dealing with all that.
What if he Robin Hoods it and then sends them the copies himself?
Oh, well, in that case, yeah. Fucking have at it if you're going to be sending it to the people after all this time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's when I see a video like that, like you said, there's parts of me that's like, I want to know more about it, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, it makes me doubt supporting companies like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame you there.
Not like you with the limited run.
It's different with the limited run.
See?
No. There's a difference between supporting like a Fonzie or a Bitmap Bureau or the guy who did Tanglewood, and then supporting limited run who just like, is a publisher. Like the thing about like Paprium or Xenocrisis and shit, it's also like directly supporting the developer itself. It's not supporting like a publisher just to get a physical copy of a game out there. At least what limited run started as, I should say. Now they have fucking Contra games that they're the publisher for, so they don't even live by their own ethos anymore.
Just hearing a lot of excuses, Jim.
Yes, how many times do I have to say it's wrong that I buy from them? I know it's wrong.
I'm just trying to have you see the error of your ways, that's all.
I know, but they just have the thing I want, Brian.
Well, Jim, the real question is, what the fuck kind of
Brian,
flavor...
have you ever seen a Jewish guy drive a Mitsubishi? You know there's something in the back of their head, all right? But sometimes you just have the thing you want, so you buy it.
God damn it, Jim. The answer is no. The real question is, what flavor of Hot Pocket are you going to put in your air fryer first?
It's got to be the pepperoni pizza.
Okay.
There's so few flavors left, too.
I honestly haven't even looked at, like, my guess is, like, they must have made 10 million other flavors. Like, did they ever make a buffalo chicken flavor?
I think they did. I think they did for a little while.
Fuck, I wanted to try. Like, see.
All the best flavors were under the Lean umbrella, and Lean's gone now. So now it's just like, pepperoni pizza, ham and cheese, maybe one breakfast one. There's like barely anything left.
Yeah. Jim, we
lived like kings. We lived like kings. We let it slip through our fingers.
Jim, we need to have a Hot Pocket party.
There's a goddamn Kickstarter I'm going to get behind. Fucking Hot Pocket Kickstarter's bringing all those flavors back. You will get my money.
How did that Rush beer treat you?
Still good. I mean, still very, malty in the front, hoppy in the back, full mouthfeel, but very drinkable. So it's a tasty girl. Good old golden ale.
Okay. Yeah, and these Ultra Rights taste like freedom. They go down super smooth. No, they're even though from a flavor profile and the moment we did it, it was my pick. It's like it blends in very easily with the other macro beers. I'll say that. Which, by the way, I looked
solid light beer.
After we did that video, I was looking it up. I don't think they're available anymore.
Really?
So if you go on their site, which I'm doing as we speak right now, their site is still there, but I can't seem to purchase it. Oh, nope. Oh, wow. They changed it. And it's a lot more expensive. Holy shit.
Wait, really?
It's $41 for 24 beers.
Damn.
It was at like 10 or 15 for, I think it was like $10 for a 6-pack.
Yeah, it was like 10 for a 6-pack, 10 to 12 for a 6-pack.
Okay, so never mind. I stand corrected. When I went there, I know maybe they were sold out of stock. There was no option.
Maybe people saw our video and they all bought it up, Brian. Maybe that's what. Why do I still do this?
Oh, Chambers. Fuck, you got me with that. All right. Well, with that, guys, we want to say thank you all so much for listening and watching. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, comment below what you liked, hit the like button. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you hit subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. And even if you do and you want to bash us in the comments, we'll read it on each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everybody.